Wholesale Hotline. I'm Brent Daniels.
I'm Jamil Damji.
And I'm Jerry Norton.
And I'm Morby.
Every week we bring you the best information on real estate investing.
Be sure to participate in the comments.
And subscribe.
Enjoy the show!
So thank you so much for calling Wholesale Hotline.
Wow, that's great.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 238. I'm your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People. Pace Morby will be joining me in about, 20, 25 minutes. He's running around doing deals with students, and then they're going to pop in here and join us on this beautiful Monday. Jamil is flying. Jerry is out killing lizards. I don't know. He's out in the wilderness somewhere. So we're going to have an excellent, excellent show. I want you to make sure that you put your wholesaling questions in the chat, because when there's only two of us, we can get through a lot of questions. And the more specific your questions, the better. All right. Now listen to this. Jim Rohn. I don't know if you've read any Jim Rohn. I don't know if you know who he is. Old school, absolutely phenomenal. His books are really some of the foundational books when it comes to personal development and business development. He says, don't let learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. And that's what this business is all about, because the fact is, we're one conversation away. You are one quality conversation away with a real estate agent, with a property owner, with an investor, a cash buyer, whatever it is, from finding an absolutely incredible opportunity. One conversation away. But let's take a look at real estate investing and really simplify this, really bring this down so that we know what actions we should be taking on a daily basis and where should we be putting all of our efforts, right? All right, right here. Real estate investing. It's only three parts. There's only three parts. We generate leads, we convert leads, and then there's the exit strategy. In our old opening for Wholesale Hotline, this is what we broke down every single time. That's why there were three hosts, right? I would talk about generating leads. Jamil would talk about converting these leads, and then Pace would talk about exit strategy. But just drink this in for a second. Let it like really settle in and hit all of those synapses in your brain and get rid of all the other junk. All right, let's get this really, really, really simple, because if we don't have leads, we can't convert leads. We're not going to have opportunities. And if we don't have the opportunities, then we don't have exit strategies, right? There's no way for us to actually earn income with our efforts in real estate. So let's break this down even further here so that we can really, really just take out all of the junk, all of the trash that's out there, right? All of the people trying to distract us from what really, really matters out there. Generating leads right here. You get referrals, you can get inbound leads, or you can get outbound leads. So what are you going to do? What are you going to focus on? This is one of the toughest parts when we're getting started, because we're not really sure what we should be doing. Should I be going to the meetup? Should I be networking? Should I be talking to a lot of real estate agents and tell them what I'm looking for so that they can send me referrals? By the way, guys, referrals are the most profitable leads that you'll ever get, right? Because it's coming from a relationship. This is going to be the net bottom line, the income that you take home to your family. This is going to be the highest, because you're not spending a lot of income, a lot of the cost involved in finding some of these leads with inbound and outbound. You're just building up a great reputation, but it takes time. It takes time to build up a reputation. What I would suggest you do today and every day that you're in real estate, from now to the end of time, is post to Facebook in your stories, I buy houses, and DM me, put your email, put your phone number, whatever it is. Start building up your referral database. Start getting very loud that you are a real estate entrepreneur. Like, there's no more hiding. There's no more imposter syndrome. You have to get rid of that, Because if you're looking at deals and you're evaluating deals and you're going through and learning all this, you are a real estate investor. You are in the process of it. That's what it is. That's what success is, right? It is the whole process of learning and going through it and looking at opportunities every single day. So like own that. Have that inside you. Have that confidence inside you that you are a real estate entrepreneur. You are a real estate investor. No more. Let's dispel, let's get rid of all of this imposter syndrome. Deal? Somebody put in the chat deal or say yes or whatever it is. Like, let's participate in this. There's something magical when you respond on a live show, or we would just record these. You know what I mean? Next, inbound. Inbound is all about marketing. This is people calling you up and saying, hey, I want an offer on my house. I want somebody to buy my house, right? This is, now with the marketing and inbound, it's fantastic. It's absolutely incredible. It is like underneath getting referrals and having an incredible reputation for buying a lot of properties. It is the top, the absolute, like right next to it. And they're real neck and neck. They're real close here, because when people call, let me show you this. When people call you, typically you need about 20 leads here, okay, of people calling you to equal one deal. And a deal equals 15K on average if we are assigning it, right? So you've got one deal, 20 leads, 15K, and the cost here is where it starts getting a little bit tricky. This is where we start getting a little anxious, a little antsy, because in smaller markets, it's about $100 a lead, okay? In medium markets, it's about $200 a lead, and in major markets, it's $300 a lead. Write this down. Where do you live? Is there more than 1 million people in the market that you're serving? It's gonna be $300 a lead. It's gonna be about $6,000 per deal consistently to get that marketing in. But you typically are going to be closer to about 20K in the deal size here. Okay, this is across the board. This is coaching thousands of people across the country, over 3,500 people, incredible rhinos out there, incredible entrepreneurs out there that I've had the pleasure and the fortune and the honor to work with. This is the stats. It's about $300 a deal for inbound. I'm talking direct mail. I'm talking pay-per-click. I'm talking pay-per-lead. I'm talking radio and TV and billboards and bandit signs, whatever it is that get people to call you, right? They're calling you. So the question is, do you have the budget? Are you in that 500, that like $250,000 to $500,000? I mean, 250,000 to 750,000 or a million person population is going to be around 200. And are you below 250,000 in population? It's going to be about 100. But again, it's going to go down. You're probably 10,000 in smaller markets per deal, 15 in the middle markets, and 20,000 in the major markets. Does this make sense to you guys? Yeah. Awesome. Now, outbound, this is a whole different thing. Outbound, we are prospecting. This is where I started. I started knocking on doors. I didn't have this. I didn't have a budget to be able to throw at getting people to call me. All right. I had a little bit. I had like $100 a month, and I would do handwritten cards, and I put my business card in there and I'd send it out, and it worked. It worked a little bit, but not consistently. So prospecting. How many people are you talking to on a daily basis and asking them if they would consider an offer on their property? Beautiful thing about prospecting is you get to do it on your schedule, all right? With inbound leads, these things are coming in at all hours, and you got to answer them live or they're gone. If you don't answer an inbound call live, it's a 50-50 chance after 5 minutes that you'll get them back on the phone. 5 minutes of missing that call, right? So you got to really set up your systems. It's way different than outbound. But outbound, I really liked outbound because from 9 to noon, every single day, I made calls. I would just pound the phones. And I was trying to talk to 30 to 35 people every single day because I knew that if I talked to 200 people here, I get one deal. One deal. Sorry, it's kind of sideways, but you guys get it. 200 people to get one deal. 200 conversations of people that are showing signs of distress, right? You take every property in your marketplace, you filter it down to the most likely people that will sell for cash, right? These are your driving for dollars leads. These are your pre-foreclosures. These are your probates, inherited properties. These are properties that have code violations. These are properties that maybe they're just done with it. They just want to they're vacant. People keep breaking into them. They want to get done with them. You can pull all these lists from all sorts of different places. PropWire. You can go to propwire.com, pull these for free, and then you reach out to them and have a good conversation. If you talk to 200 of them, they should equal one deal. Here's the tough part. You have to wait 100 days. You got to wait 100 days to get paid. You got to wait 100 days to get paid here. You got to wait 30 days to get paid here, but it's more expensive, right? And here, the average cost of this is like $200 a month, $300 a month. You could pretty much go unlimited here for $300 a month. If you've got a dialer, if you've got maybe a texting service, I would put texting in outbound. So texting calls, door knocking is going to be outbound. So where are you? What are we doing this week? Who are we talking to this week? How many quality conversations can you have this week? Because then it leads us to converting the leads. Converting the leads, first we have to pre-qualify the leads. What do we pre-qualify the leads on? The 4 pillars of pre-qualifying. How many pillars? How many pillars are there? 4. Thank you. There's 4 pillars of pre-qualifying, right? You've got condition of the property, their timeline, their motivation, and their price. Brent, why do you keep telling us the same thing? Whenever you get the opportunity to come on to Wholesale Hotline, you tell us the same damn things every single time. Because we forget, or we don't listen, or we're running around, or it takes repetition to really understand these things. But as soon as you understand all of these principles, you are going to go make an absolute fortune. It's impossible not to. If you talk to enough people, pre-qualify enough people, do your effective lead follow-up, and do an outstanding offer presentation and negotiations, you will get deals. You will get deals. It's inevitable. You talk to enough people that own ugly houses or are represented by people that own ugly houses, like agents or attorneys or whatever else, you will win. It's impossible to lose. It's impossible. But education is, what did he say? It was, all of this learning shouldn't lead to just education. The learning leads to taking action. None of this matters if you're not going to talk to anybody this week. None of this matters unless you go out and get rejected. None of this matters unless, people are having quality conversations and making offers every day, right? So condition, timeline, motivation, price. Which one do you think is the most important? Which one? Motivation. You think motivation is the most important. I love it. You're wrong. Anybody else? Is it price? Is it the condition of the property? I'm leading you down the path. Let me tell you, after 20 years now, I started in 2004, 20 years of experience, this is by far the number one. I want speed. I want speed. I want it now. I've made the decision now that I'm going to sell the property. If they've not made the decision that they're going to sell the property, then you're on your back foot all the time. You're there trying to convince them that now is the right time to sell. Never happens. We're deal finders, not deal creators. Okay? Write it down. Deal finders, not deal creators. We're never going to convince somebody that they should sell their property to us. We're just not. But if they want to sell it and they want that speed and convenience, and I'll show you a little chart in just a second. If they want the speed and convenience, that's when the cash as is offers come in. This is Wholesale Hotline, baby. We wholesale properties. We wholesale a lot of properties every single day. Listen, the deal of a lifetime comes around once a week, and it's the absolute fact. People are locking up deals at 10, 15, 25, 30, 35% of value every single second of every single minute of every single day every day. Why not you? There's 1,700 millionaires made every single day. When's it going to be your day? That's what I'm saying. Let's go. Lead follow-up. Effective lead follow-up. Guys, here's the key with lead follow-up. They're either hot, they're warm, or they're cold leads. Okay? If they're hot, you call them daily. This means hot means they're going to sign an agreement with somebody in the next 7 to 10 days. Maybe stretch it to 30 days if you really want to, because of some, maybe there's some scheduling conflicts. Warm leads is 30 to 90 days. They're going to make a decision. And cold, just get rid of. One of the best tools that we use in our business, and nobody really knows about this. We kind of keep it secret because we don't want too many people to use it because it would reduce our competitive advantage. Is a trash can. Gotcha. The trash can. We throw out bad leads. We don't hold on to cold leads. If they want to sell it more than 90 days from today, they're gone. See you later. They haven't made a decision. So what are we going to do? Just keep following up, and they keep wanting an offer, and then they get our offer, and then they leverage our offer to get a higher offer from somebody else? No. We deal with hot and warm. Because we're always generating leads. It goes back to step number 1. Generate the leads. If you're generating enough leads, you're not worried about throwing these leads in the trash can. You're not, because you're not so focused on just that lead. Oh, I love this lead. Oh, she's so nice. Betty had a conversation with me and she told me all about her life. Oh my gosh, she's such a doll. She's such a sweetheart. Her house is in original condition. She's going to have to sell it at some point, but she's not really ready yet. Someday she'll be ready. So I'm going to just follow up with her. You're never going to get that deal. I get it. We've done some deals where it's like 2 or 3 years of follow-up and that type of thing. But for the most part, you're not going to get that deal. Offer presentation. Listen, your offer presentation should be a natural progression of these two. You do not need to have magical closing words and scripts and all these things if you've done all of these things effectively. If you know the condition and you know their timeline, and you know their motivation, and you know their price, it should be a natural progression. The only thing really that you're up against here is other offers. So how do you establish yourself against other offers? Maybe price is the most important. Maybe ask them the question: how are you going to know when you receive the right offer that you want to accept? And then just be quiet. Hey, Bob. We have, I have had such a great time learning about you and the property and what's going on. When I come out today at 2:00, is there anything stopping us from moving forward? If I can get you the price that makes sense for both of us and get you your money in the right amount of time, is there anything stopping us from moving forward and doing business today and just approving the agreement? Nope. Ready to go. Yeah, I've got 3 other people walking through the house. Right? That helps you to understand how to effectively do your offer presentation and how to negotiate against other offers. And I'll tell you now, in this market, at least in Phoenix, where we do most of our business, we want to be one of the last offers because people are collecting, because we're doing all inbound leads for marketing from pay-per-click, which is phenomenal. It's absolutely the best, and TV. And so we're getting all of these leads coming in all the time. And they want to see if we're going to beat out the other offers. So what we were doing is, let's get to there as fast as possible and we'll get it locked. Nope. They still want to have those other offers come in. We got leverage. We lost out on like 4 deals in the last 30 days. So then we started switching things up. My acquisition team had a private meeting and they're like, we're going to go last. And then they're locking it up. So I would say if you're getting inbound leads and there's a lot of competition, then try to make sure that you get that last spot. If you know that they're serious, if you feel like they're gonna make a decision with the first person that shows up there, then obviously go there. But it's a lot different with outbound leads because outbound there's typically not as many offers on the table. All right, boom. Exit strategy, baby. Exit strategy. Buy and hold. There's only 3 exit strategies, guys. So where are you at? Where are you at in your life? Do you just want to build wealth and get slow and slowly build up that wealth and slowly get some cash flow? Well, buy and hold's the way to go, baby. Go for it. This is how you get wealthy. But typically, this is how you get rich. Right? Typically, you get rich by buying and flipping, which is fast. Buy it, fix it up, flip it, buy it, clean it up a little bit, put it on the market. Or the fastest, assign it. Assign it is the fastest. I would say novate is in there because that's a strategy that's being used really well right now, but this is kind of more in here. It's more of a flip type of strategy with the speed. So do you need money now? Well, then you should focus all your efforts on assigning. Do you not need the money now? Do you want more money, but you can pay all your bills and do all the things that you want to do, and you've got enough income coming in from other places? Well, then buy and flip. And if you're in a position to cherry pick great deals that you just want to hold on for a really long time, then buy and hold. But where are you? We're all going up here eventually on some level, right? But are you in the financial place to be able to do that right now? The average down payment on a traditional loan is $40,000 for a down payment for a rental property. Do you have $40,000? That's 6.5 years typically of savings for the average American that actually saves, which is a small fraction. So 6.5 years to save 40 grand to buy one property. Are you going to be able to buy enough to do that? Or do you need big checks? Do you need real big checks? Right? This is something to look at, right? As you're starting to put together your business plan, as you're starting to put together your strategy for you. And then the other thing, we all know it, cash flow quadrant. Employee, this is the different quadrants that you receive income, okay? Employees, typically W-2, right? Self-employed or a specialist is typically 1099. Business owner, right? You've got your business owner and then you've got your investor. So where are you at and where do you want to be? The interesting thing is only on this side can you detach time from income. Detach time from income. Only on this side. This side, you're on the field. This side, you're the doctor. You're doing the surgeries, right? This side, you're the CEO, COO, CFO, all the C's, or whatever else. You're a teacher. You're a truck driver. You're a fireman. You're a police officer. Whatever, right? But your time, you don't get paid unless you're putting in the time. This side, you detach the time from income. But I was thinking about this, Luke. I was thinking about this because we talked about this last week on the Wednesday show. I think people are scared to detach the time. I really do. I think idle hands do the devil's work. And I think that if people have too much time on their hands, they're gonna go crazy. I think people actually make more work for themselves as a safety mechanism, because if they had too much time on their hands, they don't know what they would do. Almost like retirement. You know, they say like when you retire and you're not valuable anymore, you're not doing something every single day, you die a lot faster, right? That's why I think people are like almost scared of going this route. Even though everybody wants to be the entrepreneur and they want to hire 1,000 VAs to do all their work and they want to invest in great assets that's going to give them passive cash flow. They want that, but I think psychologically, and I could be wrong, but put in the chat, guys, if you've ever experienced this, I've certainly experienced this. When I have too much time on my hands, it's kind of like, what shenanigans can I get into? You know what I mean? Like there's only so much time that you can spend on a beach or on vacation or messing around, right? You want to feel valuable. You want to be able to be putting in work that makes you valuable. So that's why I think people stay here. I really do. I think that's the biggest part. I'm going to have to investigate that more just through experience. But I think that's what's really holding people back from building really strong businesses that run without it. really strong businesses that run without them, and buying really good assets. Because I think the time scares people. The detachment of time to income scares people. And so that's why we stay small. We stay smaller typically. Now, you can make a fortune over here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you can absolutely, I mean, if you look at what the CEO, Tim Cook of Apple makes, I mean, it's millions and millions and millions. And then he gets all the stock benefits and stuff that puts him over here, right? But you got to really think, do I really want a business? Do I really want to detach my time from my income? Or is it just kind of like, well, I want to say that, but I don't really want that. I want to be in action all the time. I want to feel valuable all the time. Interesting. It's definitely interesting. And it's places in life, right? It's certain seasons, so to speak, that you have in life. You know, where are you? Are you in hustle season? Are you in harvesting season? Are you in a season where you want to sit back and write a book, or you want to sit back and you want to volunteer, or you want to sit back and be around your kids during this time that they're with you? Because if you've ever seen a chart of parents' time with their children, time spent with their children, it's like this. It goes way up here till they're 18 and then way down. I think it's like 2/3 of the time that you'll ever spend with your kids is the first like 18 or 20 years or something crazy. Is that a time that you want to spend more, having the flexibility to do some stuff there? It's tough to do when you're on call all the time. Certainly tough to do when you're running a 9-to-5. So something to really think about there. But I think it's really important to investigate that within your own business and within your own mind, right? And so I hope you guys are getting value out of this. If you guys are, please put it in the chat if you've got if you're getting some value. Also, I only have one starred thing here, so I don't know if there's not a lot of questions so far. But let's make sure that we get some questions in here. All right. Awesome. We're getting value. Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. Bring it in, guys. Bring it in. Again, here you go. Sellers only get 2 here, guys. Speed, convenience, price. What's your strategy? Do they want speed and convenience? Then it's a wholesale. It's a cash as is offer. Do they want convenience and price? It's novation. Is it speed and price that they want? Well, then it's either a creative offer that gets them out of that situation early, or they list it on the MLS. Yep. So there you go. Yeah, it's a ripoff off of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. There you go, puzzle. Puzz ID. It is, but I mean, if you can argue against the 4 quadrants, that would be awesome. I'd love to learn. Certainly would. But guys, every single day we have the opportunity to go out and have a conversation, have a great conversation with a property owner, and do our first deal. And that's really the blueprint that I have followed, and it's really helped me out. All right. First, step number 1, do a deal. Number 2, go full time into the business, right? Be able to really, really, really put your time and effort into the business. Number 3, kill the debt. Don't be somebody else's ROI. Don't be somebody else's ROI, right? Because that's what consumer debt is, right? Car payments, student loans, credit cards, those type of things. Before we invest in assets, because if you look at how much you're going to have to spend in interest on the consumer, on the consumer debt, then why are we buying assets that's going to give us less of a return if we're spending more on the consumer debt? So kill the debt, and then invest in assets, and then financial freedom. There you go. That is the game plan. So let's open this thing up. Let's open it up. Thank you guys for joining us here on Wholesale Hotline. Neo Jason has a question. I've heard that there are buyers looking to purchase homes in the affected areas of the storms. Is it predatory to ask people to purchase their homes in this time of crisis? It depends. I mean, are they looking to sell the properties? I mean, I don't think it's predatory to reach out to them and see if they're looking to sell the properties, if they are indeed looking to sell the properties. I'm sure that the people that aren't wanting to sell their properties might think that, but they're going to think that anyway, right? But I would also say that whenever there's these big disasters, there's a time, there's a gap there between the time that they can file for insurance claims and them actually getting their insurance money. Right. And so we got to really watch that, because you could throw out a bunch of offers, but if they're in the process of going through the insurance companies, which they're going to be busy, the insurance companies are going to be busy, and please send up some prayers to the people that are going through it. I mean, how crazy is it? That's like two hurricanes in like 10 days or something. I mean, I saw the roads. They were showing the roads in Tampa Bay. It was like 31 miles long of just cars. Just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Hopefully everybody gets out safe, get their pets out safe, and they don't have too much damage to their properties. But if there is, listen, I mean, if there's damage to the properties and they want to sell the properties cash as is after they get the insurance, or if they don't have insurance, then what are they going to do? Do they have the budget to fix it up, or is it just, or the property's going to get worse? It's not like the properties are going to magically like get better. You know what I mean? It's not like all of a sudden, Florida is going to turn dry. You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be significant work in those. So I think it's up to you, Neo. I don't think it's more or less than any other market, to be honest. And I think that you're going to have to work around the insurance guys. All right. Connor. Hey, Brent, I'm not a part of your trip group or anything, but I've watched your videos a ton in the past few weeks, and I got my first contract signed today, Connor. Come on. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best with these bells. I keep breaking these. So that is awesome, Connor. I would love to find out what you did. I'd love to find out what your lead generation was. I would love to find out what the motivation was of that property owner. That'd be awesome. That'd be really awesome. And then Pansy Sleep says, Brent, what PPC company are you using? Talktopeople.com. Yeah, it's our own. But doing some phenomenal work. I went and grabbed a couple guys from Google, and they're running Google ads, and now they work in just down my hallway here. So if you're interested in that, talktopeople.com, or you can email me, brent@wholesalinginc.com. But you could just go to talktopeople.com and check that out. But what I would say is, if you're going to do PPC, if you're in a smaller market, you need $5,000 to $7,000 a month in your budget for Google. If you're in a bigger market, it's $7,000 to $10,000. Okay, so 5 to 7 or 7 to 10. So if you're not in a position where you can spend that, you're just going to blow your money on PPC. It's just going to be gone. You should probably start with like a PPL. Who do you like? Property leads. Yeah. So you can get a PPL and start buying some leads, so you don't have to commit so much to a PPC campaign. And just remember, when it comes inbound leads, you got to answer them live. You got to answer them live. Okay. And so you got to be in a position to where your schedule will allow that. All right. Awesome. Raphael, how can I pull and fully commit and not be in a cycle of making calls, then slowly getting distracted? Yeah, listen, making the calls, calling up people and making offers all day is boring. Can you survive the repetitious boredom? That is the question. That's just what you're going to deal with. So I used to draw. I used to read. Some people send out text messages as they're making their calls. And so it just depends on what kind of Luke Rothfold, in my opinion, the best cold caller in the country, would play Madden live. He got up to like top 2% of Madden Live, and he would just play for hours. He'd just play video games for hours and hours and hours while he was making his call. And what you can do on the dialers is as soon as somebody picks up, so dialers are really awesome because it's not like a ringing sound in your ear for hours and hours and hours. That would probably drive you insane and not be productive. So you don't hear anything, but then it beeps when somebody picks up, which is really cool. So I think he just zones out and plays, and then he hears the beep and then just gets into it. But he's playing live. It's not like he's pausing that game. He's wild. But whatever works. And so, yeah, you got to be focused because every call is important. Just do your job that play, right? It's an old Bill Belichick deal. Just do your job that one play. All right. And so, when somebody picks up, you got to assume in your mind that they want to do a deal with you. They want to work with you. They want to sell their property. Now, are most of them going to say no? Yes. Is 1 out of 10, typically about 7 to 10% going to say yes? Yeah. Yeah, they'll be curious. They want to know how much. And remember, whenever you call somebody up and ask them if they would consider an offer on their property, there's only 6 responses that they give you. Okay? Yes, no, maybe in the future. I'm kind of thinking about it. How much will you give me? Who are you? And how'd you get my number? That's it. There's really only the versions of that are only really six responses to that. So if you know how to respond to those responses, then you can move forward with the conversation. All right. But great question. Chris, how do you go from $100,000 a year to $100,000 a month wholesaling? Well, honestly, the $100,000 a month, your margins are going to be way smaller, right? Doing $100K a year, you could do that and maybe spend 10%. You should keep anywhere from 80 to 90% of that 100,000. But once you get to 100K, you're going to have to, you're typically going to have, you're spending more money in marketing. You're spending more money in marketing, and you're going to have an acquisition team and a disposition team. And maybe you're in there, maybe you're part of acquisitions or part of dispo. But it just depends on where you want to live, or if you want to get totally out of the company, you're just going to have to hire really, really great talent, but your margins will go down. Obviously, because you're paying for that talent, and it's going to be, I pay a base salary plus commissions. And if you want to learn more about that, just ask. But yeah, 100,000 a month. First, you got to get to 100,000 a year, right? And then you have to have, the consistency and keep building up your pipeline. And then it's just how many leads are you getting in? I mean, you could get to $100,000 a month your first year if you have a big enough marketing budget. Right. But typically we don't, typically once you get up into that space, you're looking at 1 to 4, 1 to 5 return. So of that 100,000, you're probably spending 20 to 25, maybe even 30,000 to make that 100,000. You just want to make sure that you keep your profits around 40%. So that helps you understand what you should be paying your people to get into that. So if you're making 40% of 1.2 million, you're at 500,000. Are you working in there? Are you not working in there? Is that a passive 500,000? Because I will tell you, any business owner, any real entrepreneur that's netting 500,000 and they're not working in it day to day will take that all day long. Because most businesses are 10 to 15% net. Great question. The real estate kid. How can you work with a real estate agent to do deals? Love it. You reach out to them and tell them what you're looking for. And then you just, the couple different strategies. And Jamil is certainly the master at this because this is how he built an incredible business. Keegley arguably does as much or more wholesale deals a year than anybody. Than any of the other companies. And they built it from referral based. And so it's just constantly reaching out to real estate agents and showing them what you're looking for. I'm looking for original condition or totally beat up properties. And when you run across those, I'd love for you to reach out. And if you can give them to me before you put it on the market, then I can just give you a cash offer on it. You can find out what a real cash offer would be for that property before you put it on the market. And then if they want to sell it to me, then we'll split the deal. We'll split the assignment fee. We'll split the commission, whatever. Or we'll add the commission, not split the commission, unless you have a license. But it's just reaching out to them, real estate kid. I mean, just reach out to agents all the time. And I would suggest that you reach out to the agents that list the lower income properties, lower income to kind of lower medium income properties. I would reach out to all of them and see what they have. And you might not get a deal on the properties that they have listed, but they might have some coming up, and they might have another listing that they know the seller is really motivated to sell those properties, and they'll take a dramatic discount, but nobody's calling them on it because it's priced too high, but they're about to drop the price dramatically. Can you imagine that? I did this last year. I did a video on it last year, maybe 2 years ago, where I was just calling up real estate agents, having conversations with them, asking them, if I asked them 4 questions, right? Is this property still available? Okay. What offers have you guys rejected? What have you gotten? Have you gotten a bunch of lowball offers, right? If they don't get this price that they have it listed for, what's their plans with the property? And then also, what other properties do you have that I can look at that is in original condition and or in really rough shape? And so that's the 4 questions that I would ask every single agent all the time. And I was just calling and just random real estate agents. And there was a deal where they had it listed. I think it was listed for $340, and they would take $260,000. And so we locked that up and we actually flipped that property. So you never know, but that's how you do it. Step number 1, conversations. Step number 2, offers every single time. All right. Awesome. JF question. If my goal is to wholesale 5 properties a month, how many leads should I generate each month, and how many leads should I call each day? Also, who is the Jordan of wholesaling and why? Great question. So, how many leads should I generate a month? It depends on if it's inbound or outbound. It depends on if it's referrals. And you could get 1 lead from a referral that turns into a deal. But if we go back here, Matt, put me on the lapel, please. If we go back here, you're probably on the lead generation. With these, you need 20 leads for inbound. Sorry, the Stanley's in the way. I actually get sponsored by Stanley. It's passive income. No, the inbound, 20 leads, right, is typically what you need from inbound. Outbound, you're going to have to talk to 200 people to get a deal, but typically that's about 20 people in here that say that they're interested. Now, this could ebb and flow, just depends on what list you're calling. If you call an inherited and probate list, this is going to be much lower. You call entire landlords list, this could be 500 people, could be 1,000 people. If you have VAs call this list, multiply this by 10 times. Let me say that again. If you have VAs that are getting paid less than $20 an hour making these calls, you're going to have to 10x the amount of people that they talk to get a deal. It's just facts. Anybody saying otherwise is trying to sell you stuff. They're raising bulls to sell you bullshit. All right. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's about the same. It just depends on how many people you actually have to talk to and leads coming in. It's just a lot faster doing it this way. So to do 5, you would need 100 inbound leads. And then here you would talk to 1,000 people yourself, depending on the quality of the list that you're calling. And it goes up from there. So anywhere from 1,000 to probably 5,000 to do 5 deals if you're just cold calling them or cold texting. All right. The question was, who is the Jordan? I don't know. I don't think that Jordan called himself Jordan before everybody else called him Jordan. So what do you guys think? Who's the Jordan of wholesaling? Put it in the chat. We'll find out. I think the audience is the one that, I mean, it's the people determine who the Jordan of wholesaling is. My Jordan was Tom Kroll. Tom Kroll was like absolutely outstanding at wholesaling and taught me. But that's just my experience. All right. And now he doesn't wholesale anymore. So how do you do that? There you go. DF, getting ready to start wholesaling in Oregon. When the deal comes, do you have any recommendations on how to obtain the correct contracts for buyer and seller? I feel if I obtain this, it's go time. Yeah, just post it right here. Guys, can somebody in the chat give DF the right paperwork for this? That would be awesome. Somebody hook them up. Somebody in Oregon, connect. Other way, DF, I would go into the real estate investing groups on Facebook. I would reach out to the admins of the biggest groups, and I would see if I could connect with them and see who they'd like working with for title and escrow or closing attorneys. And then I would go to them and see if they've got specific paperwork that they prefer. And I think if you just Google Pace Morby or Jerry Norton or myself, it'll probably pull that up as well. Right? Yeah. So listen, DF, don't let that stop you. You could do this on a napkin, right? You could do this on a yellow pad of paper. You could do this, with a postcard, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? That shouldn't stop you. Don't let that little hurdle stop you from going out and finding some great opportunities, because you got to build up your leads, right? Great questions, guys. Kevin, I'm struggling with pulling lists. I've closed 2 deals in the last 3 years, just closed a deal 3 weeks ago, and hired my first VA starting tomorrow. Where can I get accurate pre-foreclosures? Well, congratulations on closing some deals. If you are struggling pulling lists, you can get them free from a lot of the title companies. You can also go to Property Radar. You can pull it from Livewire or PropWire, not Livewire. What is Livewire? LimeWire. Yeah. That was old school, huh? Holy cow. I'm sure there is a Livewire. There's got to be. Anyway, yeah, you can get all those right there. And then you can, if you really want, you can get them from the county recorder's office, because any owed debts is posted like old school. You know what I mean? If you used to owe people's debts, they would literally put it on a board or on a pole in the middle of town and be like, that dude owes that guy money. That guy owes that gal money, right? And that's basically what they do now. It's called public notice. And I think they just have computers now instead of a poll that they post it on. Yeah, the poll would be cool. It'd be interesting. So there you go. Chris, I'm popping these in. Ask, any advice if I'm working on a wholesale team and eager to start getting my own deals? Be honest with them. Be honest with the whoever's running that team, the owner of the company. Just be super, super honest with them. Right? Because if you try to be sneaky here, you're going to have a bad reputation. So you want to go into it and just say, hey, listen, for my future, for my family's plans, for my family's goals, being able to build my own wholesale company or being able to own a great portfolio of real estate that I get at a really great price is really important. And so I just want to let you know that when I'm not working here, I'm going to be working on my own leads. If there's ever a conflict of interest, I'm always going to defer that it's your lead. If we run into the same lead, I'm always going to tell them, you know what? We're already working with you. I'm not going to take any of your leads. I'm not going to negotiate. Even if they call me or I reach out to them and they're in your CRM, I'm not going to do it. They probably won't like it though, Chris. They probably won't trust you, to be honest. They might, but they probably won't. And so it could be a conflict there, but at least you're being honest. And so if that sours the relationship, it sours the relationship. Because nobody likes, a constant revolving door in your business of people that are your acquisition specialists or disposition specialists or any role, really. And so they want to keep you forever if you're making them money, if they're getting a nice return on investment from you. All right. So just be honest, Chris. But I highly suggest it. And if they respected it, listen, if you're commission only, by the way, if you're not getting paid and salaried, I mean, they really have no control. They're really just leveraging you for commissions. You're basically like a real estate agent in a brokerage, right? So that's not they really don't, control what you do. So you could be, if you don't have any leads, then you should be generating your own leads. But if they're giving you a salary, it might muddy the waters a little bit. So just depends. Oh yeah, there you go. Told him from day one and would still love to JV and work together. Well, there you go. Awesome. I'm going to keep going to this starred one. Real estate kid asks, how much do you need for security deposit handling a deal? Well, it's called earnest deposit. So just understand the terms. A little bit interesting. Earnest. Why is it called earnest? I don't know. But the earnest money is what shows that you're serious and for the seller to work with you. And so the, it could be $1, it could be $10. It depends. It depends on if you need it to be able to have an executed contract. What's up, man?
What's up, dude? Thanks for running the show.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
How are you?
So good.
Good. Pace Morby, everybody.
Hey, everybody. What's
Coming on
up? Oh, yes.
There we go.
I love it. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. We were doing tactical training. We did like team building and took 15
What
people.
kind of team? Look at this team. What
What
a good-looking team.
up?
Holy cow.
Live studio audience, about 15 people or so. We went and did military SEAL team training in a shoot room and had like real weapons, and it was sick.
Is this the group that was in the auto collision?
No, that was last week's group. And yes, that was fun too. We got a deal under contract last week. I did a challenge where I have leaders in the community, and we put 10 people on every leader's team, and we had like 70 teams.
Yeah.
So we had about 700 people in the challenge. And I had 10 people on my team that I said, all right, I'm the closer. You set my appointments. And we locked up 7 contracts, 4 creative deals, and 3 lending deals. We made we're making $100,000 on one of those deals, which is great.
Nice.
Yeah, really, really good. So that team, we were like, hey, let's go see the house that we signed on Thursday.
Yeah.
And we jump in the van and get hit by this dude smoking weed. Wasn't paying attention that he had a red light, and he ran right into us. So
Is it legal to smoke weed in your car?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Jamil.
Jeez Louise. So what's this 100K deal?
It's a deal where I get these really interesting deals where sellers in foreclosure.
Yep.
And instead of them trying to take a lowball cash offer or even sell their house to a sub-2, I go to them, I go, well, would you like to stay in the house for an extra 3 or 4 months, give you some timeline? This guy's getting foreclosed on, but he's got all this equity and he has a ton of like collateral. I go, how about this? I'll buy the house at $350, gives you 6 months to go sell it, and I own it. So I'm not having to foreclose on you. I'll evict you.
Yeah.
But I'll buy it at $350. You go and sell it for your $650, and you buy it from me at $450 when you go.
Got it.
So we'll make $100,000 in less than 6 months, which is good.
Nice.
So it's an interesting thing. So it gives him more time to sell the house, gives him more equity where he doesn't get foreclosed on. It's a whole thing. So those are fun deals. Pansy says it's not legal. I don't know what Pansy means by that. She must mean something else.
Smoking weed in your car.
Oh, smoking weed in your car. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll get a DUI for smoking and driving. Okay, cool. The guy was actually Uber driver. He was an Uber driver.
Yep.
And he was smoking weed right before he was picking up his person. And his person was standing outside this burrito joint waiting for him to get picked up. And he watched the whole accident happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy is standing there going, there's no way that was my Uber driver. Turns out it was his Uber driver. And he watched the guy freaking nail right into the side of our van. It was trippy, but we're all good. Everybody's good. Here we go. I like this one. This is a good question. explicit X to the Z exhibit. Pimp My Ride says, I have 10 days to find a cash buyer in a non-disclosure state. Any tips?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Talk to people.
TTP, baby.
TTP,
Brent
baby.
Daniels, all over him.
No, listen. First of all, if you have a smoking hot deal, it shouldn't be hard to find a cash buyer. Okay? Shouldn't be. So hopefully it's a smoking hot deal. And if you're in a non-disclosure state, just go into Zillow, find everybody. It depends on what type of property. All right. If it's a rental property, it's a little bit trickier. If it's going to be a flip property, then just go in and go to Zillow and look for everybody that has a listing that is a flip. You know it's a flip because it's staged. It's beautiful. There's not clothes in the closet. There's not all the different soaps and everything around in the bathrooms. And so call up the listing agent. Don't just click on Zillow for I want to do a tour. Call the actual listing agent that's on there and see if they want to do another flip in that area. That's an easy way.
Another way, if you're in Texas, let's say, go to a meetup. Right. Go to if you're not in the community, he was the Duber driver. That's really good. Doobie, the Duber driver. So if you're in Texas, let's say, for example, if you're in our community, just go to a meetup, right? And meet all the people there and say, who has a buyer's list? You could also go to Keegley.com and say, hey, will you guys help me dispo a deal? You could also go to Investor Lift and post it there. You could also go on Facebook Marketplace. You could go on Craigslist. You could go to a bunch of stuff. Another really important thing would be maybe go to real estate agents that are listing properties of fix and flips. You can find those agents on Privy. If you guys are using Privy, go to Privy and you can see all the active fix and flips on the market. Call the agents and go, hey, I have a deal that one of your cash buyers might want to buy. Though, even if you're in a non-disclosure state, you can see what houses are listed, like Brent said. And if they're listed and they look like they're fix and flips, call the agent, say, I have another deal for your buyers. There you go. Mike C says, by the way, you had a flow going. What were you talking about? Did I screwed anything I screwed up, or are you doing Q&A?
It was, it's the basics, right? It's the basics of just making sure we understand how we find deals, right? The 3 steps: generate leads, convert leads, and then pick your exits, right? So just breaking that down. Yeah. Going through it and each one of those, what's involved with generating leads. And so I'm the generate leads, right? I know that if you generate enough leads, everything else takes care of itself. And so if you want to build a really robust, profitable business and bring in really great talent, you need leads.
Yeah.
Not only do you need leads, you need a process to finding leads, right? You need a process to converting those leads. And so when we're getting started and we don't have a huge budget, I was looking at, what is the average cost per lead if you're doing marketing in small markets? It's $100 a lead. That's 250,000 and below. 250 to $1 million, it's $200 a lead.
Is this an inbound lead?
Inbound lead.
Gosh, that's so good.
Right. And then, if you're in a smaller market, it's about $100.
Yeah, but if you think about, like, okay, I want to talk to 10 people today, I'm going to spend $1,000. If you already have a job, why not just get people to call you?
The issue is you're not available.
But you can
they call you, you don't answer. It's 50-50 if you call back after 5 minutes of getting them back.
Correct.
On the phone.
But couldn't you have a JV partner to cover those calls when you are at work and
100%,
vice versa?
100%.
Then that way you're good. Like for me, when I was doing inbound calls, I don't do that anymore, but it was the best lead on the freaking planet.
Yeah.
Sadly, the way I was spending money was not $100. And I know you're talking about small markets and you'll continue to expand on that, but I would not miss a freaking call, even if I was making out with my wife. My wife was having a child in the hospital. Not joking. That sounds intense, but when Corbin was born, I had my money phone in my pocket, and we had a call at 11 o'clock while she hadn't gone into labor yet, but she had the baby at 1 o'clock in the morning. 2 hours prior, I was getting calls at 11 o'clock. People are sitting in there on their computer, clicking on your pay-per-click ads, and they're freaking calling you. You better pick up the damn phone at 11 o'clock at night, or else you're going to miss that lead. Otherwise, they're calling somebody else.
That's right.
Okay, keep going. $100 in a smaller market.
200 up to $1 million. Typically, it's going to be around 200 average, and then $1 million plus is 300.
So $1 million plus,
and you need
population.
20 leads per deal, typically.
$1 million plus population.
Yep.
So you're looking at a Phoenix market. You're spending.
$6,000.
Okay, you're spending $6,000 for one deal.
Yep.
Cost per contract is the way that we would measure that.
Yep.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
But what's the advantage of doing that versus just cold calling myself?
Well, the advantage is you're closing that deal in 30 days, not 100 days.
Yes.
So your cash cycle's way faster when it's inbound. Second, you need way less conversations. There's way less rejection, but there is more competition. So if you don't have the skills of negotiating and converting a lead into a signed agreement, and you keep getting beat out by people that have far more experience than you are, than you have, then maybe you go more outbound until you get that experience.
Love that.
So even if you do have the budget, if you don't have those skills necessarily of negotiating, then you could be throwing money away.
I got really lucky when I first started in 2013. I got really lucky that I had already built a successful construction business. And when somebody would call me, I would set the appointment, I would go give them an estimate, and I was competing against 3 other contractors.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing in wholesale
All the time.
You're getting an inbound call from whatever marketing source. You go out to the house, you're giving them an estimate on what you would pay for or whatever the service is going to cost. And they would say, just want to let you know, I'm talking to 3 other contractors.
Yeah.
Perfect. I hope you are. And I would have to negotiate, do all that kind of stuff, follow up, and then even deal with customers ghosting you. I dealt with all of that stuff. So when I went to spend money on inbound marketing, my first month in 2013, I spent $5,000 in marketing. I got 3 contracts and made $50,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the greatest thing on the planet.
Because you understand discovery.
Yeah.
That's the whole 80% of that conversation you're having with the property owner is discovery. What is their problem and what is the solution to that problem? And what do they think the solution to that problem is? Maybe it's best that they list with a real estate agent. Maybe it's best that they take that higher offer from this other investor. Maybe it's best that they just clean it up and put a renter into the property and go for a little longer. You know what I mean? But we don't know that unless we're pulling that out of them, unless we're really doing the discovery. And that happens when you find out the condition, timeline, motivation, price. The 4 pillars.
Chris Gett is up in Montana. Mario, as I call him when I get to see him in person, because he's got the Mario mustache. I'm Chris Geddes. So Chris just quit Google. He had a high 6-figure job. And thanks to the community and him working with Landon Moore inside of the community and them partnering up and then him finding his path, within about a year of being in the community, he quit his high 6-figure paying job in Google. He just says, I switched to buying inbound leads 2 months ago, closed 2 last month, and an escrow for 9 now. It's totally changed our business. However, do it. However, what Brent is saying, by the way,
the best.
I just hung mine up in my studio. So
nice.
Thank you for that handsome guy, Tom Kroll.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chris didn't start there and spend a bunch of money. He got his chops going, got his negotiation skills down.
Yeah.
Now, if you're already good at business, right? For you were already a real estate agent. You already knew how to talk to people. You already knew how to negotiate. You knew how to price out property. So if you go spend money right now as that person, you're not going to be squandering that money. But if you're somebody's like, I don't know anything about real estate. I don't know the difference between title and escrow. I don't know what inspection period is. I don't know this, that, and the other. I don't know all these words. You go and start spending money, it's going to eat you alive.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go, this business doesn't work.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you
That's
give Brent
why
the same leads and you give me the same leads. We're getting 5 deals out of the same leads.
That's why I created this, because I think it's really important, because there's different factors. Are you part-time or full-time? Do you have a budget or don't have a budget? Are you new and experienced at negotiating? And if that's the case, then you just look at this blueprint and you figure out what your path is. Can you do direct mail for like $50 a month to very specific addresses? Absolutely. That's easy. Should you be building up your referral database and getting really loud that you buy houses? Yes, you should be doing that all the time. Now we get into, are you going to cold call or are you going to send text messages? Okay. And then do you have a budget to be able to hire a VA or not hire a VA? You need money for that. And then do you have the experience to pay for paper lead? And then at the very end, at the very bottom is when you add pay-per-click, because I think you have to have the tightest processes and schedule for pay-per-click than anything else, because PPL, pay-per-lead, you can turn on and off. You could put it on the schedule that you want. If you know that you've got your kid's soccer game at 8 a.m. on a Saturday and you can't take leads because you're the coach of it, you're going to block that out and then turn it on when you get on. But pay-per-click, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because
it's like momentum. It's like a snowball going down a hill. It has to build momentum.
Yep.
And the compound effect, it's like month 2 is easier, month 3 is, and so on and so forth. But you got to spend that money. And in the first 30 days, sometimes you're burning money to figure out what is working and what isn't working. And you can't just turn it off or else you're resetting the whole clock.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. Well, and you're spending so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You miss a call and you're like, oh, that was like $4,000.
The other thing too is not only, and I've had this, I'll tell you guys a good story. So my wife's about to give birth to Corbin. It was a false alarm, but she goes, hey, I'm heading into the hospital. I go, no problem. I have to go chase this appointment. Welcome to spending money on leads. Okay. If it was a referral, I'd be all right, cool. I'll follow with it tomorrow. Right. But a lead comes in that day. I miss it. I'm in the shower. I call back immediately. She doesn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
When I was doing this, for me, my cost per lead was $1,000 per phone call because I was going through a company called Homevestors, right?
Mm-hmm.
We Buy Ugly Houses. They were taking a marketing fee of like 40% before I even spent $1. I had to spend $400 a lead with them. So really my leads were like $600.
Yeah.
Okay. They just charged me an extra $400 before the lead ever got to me. So every phone call that came to me cost me $1,000. I spend 20 grand. I get 20 calls for the whole month. Okay. That means I better be damn good.
Mm-hmm.
So I miss the call. I call the lady back. I look it up. I go, I'm heading to the damn house. She's not calling me back. I'm going to head to the house and knock on the door. It's on the other side of town. It's raining. It's pouring. It's kind of the middle of the morning. I'm like, I'm just going to wait around until she shows up. I put a thing on this is before Uber Eats was a thing. So I'm not eating. I'm not going to the gas station. I'm not leaving. I'm going to make sure that this lady, when she walks into the house, I'm going to run up to her and go, hey, you called me this morning and I missed your call. Like that's how intense these leads are because they're making a decision that day to finally Google or search something or pull up your postcard or whatever it is that they're doing that they're willing to call you. Think about this, the psychology of somebody going, I'm going to call a postcard that says, I will buy your house for cash.
How about putting in all your information on a website?
Right. And that's what it was. It was a PPC lead. So I get this lead. I don't reply. She doesn't reply. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just missed this 7 minutes ago. I always have my phone with me. Jump in my truck, run over there. My wife's like, I'm heading to the hospital. I feel like I'm going to have the baby today. I go, great. I'll catch up with you. That is how intense these leads are, that you are willing to miss the very beginning of the birth of your child. Because when you're hustling and you're juggling the money, and you also know that one of those leads could be 50 G's that pays for the cost of the damn baby. Shout out Corbin. Love you. So I go there. I wait all day long. And then my wife goes, hey, it was a false alarm. I'm heading home. I go, okay, cool. Well, I'm just waiting for this lady. My wife goes, did you check and see if she owned other property? My wife's so much smarter than me. I go, gosh, damn it. So I pull up and I go, yeah, she does. This isn't her primary residence. This is a rental property. I've been waiting for her damn tenants to show up all day long. I'm new. Remember, I'm new and I'm spending a lot of money. So I run up to the house where this lady lives and I go, oh my gosh, she's not answering. She's not answering. I try and look for other phone numbers. It's now like 4:00 in the afternoon. And I go, oh, I know what I'll do. I'm going to call the police. This is how serious these leads are, guys. And I had the police go and do a welfare check on this lady because she wouldn't answer her door. Okay. So I go, hey, she has a bunch of Amazon packages outside of her house. I'm a concerned person. She called me and I can't get a hold of her. She called me at 9:00 this morning and I've been trying to get a hold of her and I'm worried she fell down, blah, 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 blah. Can I get a welfare check? So the police come over, knock on her door. She answers the door and they go, yeah, it was that guy. He said that blah, 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 blah. I'm waving at her and she goes, who are you? And I go, I'm trying to buy your house. She goes, I sold it to somebody at 11:00 this morning.
Yep.
You missed those calls. You missed the deal. They don't care about your postcard or your ad or your PPC thing. They care who picks up the phone first. There you go.
Well, and they make the decisions that fast. I mean,
Yeah.
they're at that point where they are reaching out to solve that problem. And so it is just so much. So I knocked on doors. I made the calls. I had a lot of leads from text and cold calling from, going to my team for years. Now they get all the inbound and they're like, give him up. You know what I mean? They're going out every single day. I mean, they're locking up a deal every 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
phenomenal.
The toughest thing was when I first was doing inbound leads in the beginning, I was spending way too much money. Brent taught me actually how to get away from home investors. I hired Brent as my mentor. He was one of my first mentors. This is probably 2017. It was about 4 years after I was in the business. I go into Brent's office with my wife and I go, it's just me, dude. I'm doing 10 deals a month, me and my wife. I'm doing cash. I'm doing creative. I'm doing everything, but I'm spending this much money on leads. He's like, wait, what? Yeah. I go, can you show me how to do this without spending money on leads? And so I kind of went the reverse. I got really good at closing deals and understanding the business and making a lot of money. I was probably making $500,000 a year, just me and my wife in 2016, 17. And what ended up happening is Brent's like, you need to get out and like build a team, get cold callers, do all that kind of stuff. So I went out, started getting cold callers, and I built a team. So it's less expensive when I was cold calling, texting, doing all that kind of stuff per contract, but also the cycle changed. I would go out to appointments and people wouldn't sign with me right there. I'm like, wait, what? And so you get addicted to those types of leads, but they are expensive. So you can't mess around with them.
Yep. Sadia asks a great question. Brand new wholesaler, just got my first contract signed in less than a week. Super distressed property in semi-rural area. ARV is lower than I thought. Yeah. Any tips on renegotiating while under contract? First of all, great job on taking action. Classic experience when you first get started. You get a property under contract. They probably have been trying to sell it for a while. I'd be curious to know if this was on the market or off the market. In my experience, typically these are on market properties that we go, oh, that looks like a good deal. You submit an offer, you get it accepted, and then you can't move them. Right. And so you got to be super honest. We're truth tellers, truth seekers. You got to tell either the agent or the seller, I made a mistake. I made a mistake with the values that I thought that this property would have once it's fixed up. It's not that high. I need to reduce the price by this much, or we can just cancel.
Yeah. What I do is I call them up and I say, my lender pointed out to me, I say, my lender will not fund this house. They said that I overpaid for the property and that their numbers are completely different than mine, and I made a mistake. And so I've got a couple options. Option one, we just cancel the contract. I'm so sorry. Or option two, we come down to where my lender will actually lend on the deal, that it makes sense. He's been in the business a lot longer than me. And you just fess up and you say you made a mistake. And that's it. Option three, a lot of times too, is I'll say, maybe we don't cancel and you give me like 10 days and I'll see if I can find a buyer. Right. I said that last week. I was on the phone with somebody and they go, I want $40,000 down. I go, there's no way I'm giving you $40,000 down, but it doesn't mean I don't have a buyer that would. Are you okay if I shop this out to my buyers list? And they're like, yeah. How many days do you need? I go, give me 5 days. Like, I'll know if you're even remotely close to what a buyer will pay in 5 days. And they go, okay, great. So I signed an option contract. Right. So you can go back. So Sadia, you can go back to your seller and go, hey, you know what? Maybe this is a better fit for another investor. So option one, just cancel the contract, move on, chalk it up to some learning experience. Option two, say my lender won't fund the deal. This is where they would fund the deal at. But don't tell them a number until you actually go find somebody that's interested in the deal. Go find a buyer. They'll tell you what they're willing to pay. And then option three is to go, hey, maybe I don't cancel, but I'll see if I can find somebody at the price. Give me 5 days, give me 10 days. And then you can go through the practice of trying to find a buyer on your first contract, which is awesome. You want to get that muscle memory down, and maybe you end up canceling, but at least you had the shot at trying to find them a buyer.
Or you could do the open door method.
Yeah.
Do an inspection on every single house.
Yeah. And
if this property is in rough shape, super distressed property, that inspection is going to come back as thick as an encyclopedia, if you guys remember those. And it's going to be a bloodbath. And then you go, hey, listen, here's what's going on. you know, if I'm going to have to get a price reduction on this because of all of these things that I'm seeing that you didn't, maybe you didn't even know about, but it came up in the inspection. And so we can still do this deal, but it'll have to be at this price. And that's what Open Door does every time. They'll give you this price and then they'll drop it.
I was the contractor.
20,000 every time. When
I first got into the business, so about 11 years ago, Open Door was big in town and I was their number one contractor and I would go on all the appointments.
I honestly think that was the first time I spoke to you.
Probably, yeah.
Because I was a buyer's agent on an Open Door property right when they started, right?
Yeah.
Were you one of their first ones?
I was their first contractor.
The first one.
Yeah.
And you kept answering your phone. I was like, oh, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
This guy's great.
Yeah.
I should look back at that because it had your name and info.
Find it. That'd be sick.
I will. Yeah, it was
a
buddy of mine. So I would have to look. But I think that was the first time that we ever spoke was when you were doing the contract.
They would pay me $250.
Yeah.
Just to go and beat up their sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So I use this to my advantage when I started wholesaling is that I would meet with people that would call me. They'd call Open Door, OfferPad, Zillow, and then also me. And I would go into the house and I go, hey, let me tell you, here's a picture of me as a contractor. And here's a copy of the invoice that I would give to Open Door. And here's a copy of the $250 they would pay me to beat up sellers like you. So just so you know, I'm not going to do that. They're going to do that. The reason I got into this business is to help people like you avoid people like that. And I didn't realize how much money I was making, or I didn't realize how much money they were making until I stopped and said, I'm doing about 100 of these a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing like 3 to 4 a day, and I'm making 30 grand sometimes per month just beating up homeowners' prices. So they must be gouging it to you guys. And so by the way, an Open Door, what was great about Open Door is that I would just inflate my prices and they would just be perfectly okay with it because now I realized what they were doing with it. They were taking my prices and beating up their homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
So it became a nice little weapon I used for the first couple of years of being in the business.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Just get your thoughts on it. With the change in the way that we learn things, we've got so many free podcasts, so many YouTube channels, so many free events. Why aren't there more real estate millionaires than there used to be? Why isn't it just exploded? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would think if the information's just out there and it's all free and it's all available and it's all in our face all the time, anything that you could want to learn is out there. Why aren't there more real estate millionaires?
I think the more information there is out there that's free, the less people pay attention to it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it also attracts the free crowd. I used to be the free crowd. It was like, I'll never pay for anything. I'll never pay. I wouldn't even pay for a Costco membership, right? Like nothing. I wouldn't pay for anything. So what you pay for, you typically pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big part of it. More importantly, I think information is not the key to success.
Mm-hmm.
It's being with other people that are already successful,
mm-hmm.
right? It's why you build a community. You're part of a community of people doing the thing. I think ChatGPT, if it was going to change the world of real estate, it would have already changed the world of real estate. People would have become more successful.
Yeah.
But what you need as a human being is you need to stand next to somebody that's doing the thing and watch them do it. And so 10 times more podcasts are going to be out in 5 years, but it's not until somebody can figure out, and I feel like we have, me, you, Jerry, Jamil, have figured out how to help hold people by the hand and get them to get through that fire.
Yeah.
Most everybody else is just selling information, or even me, my YouTube. Like, here's what sucks about YouTube. It's for entertainment, not education.
Yeah.
Because an hour and a half long podcast, people won't watch 5 of them in a row. Right.
Right.
And do you guys know what my average YouTube duration views are? Like, how long does somebody watch a YouTube video? Mine's really high for real estate. The average in real estate is like 3 to 4 minutes. Mine's 8.5 minutes. So think about that. Even when you make a 30-minute video breaking something down, the average duration of people watching is 8.5 minutes. People's attention span is getting shorter, right?
So if it's not the information,
yeah,
it's the expertise, it's the community.
It's this. I mean, do you guys all agree? All like 90% of the success is in the community. Out. Everybody here in the community.
I think that's an important thing to think about, guys. And not just coming from a self-serving, I am a mentor and coach type of thing, but like I was really thinking about that the other day. I was like, oh, well, we tell everybody what to do, how to do it, how to find people that are doing it, what to say to those people that are doing it, and yet there's not this massive explosion of real estate millionaires.
Yeah. Well, it requires work. And do we believe that humans are getting harder working or lazier? lazier. Okay, cool. So the easier, what's the saying say? It says, good times create soft men, soft men create hard times create, right? So you go through that whole cycle. Right now we're in the cycle of like everything's so easy. Government's printing money in the trillions. Money was so accessible the last 4 or 5 years. It's become incredibly easy to get access to capital. And it's also become incredibly easy to just work from home and not have to worry about actually washing your butt and putting on clothes. And so people choose to go, I'm just going to sit on my butt all day long and kind of work from home. And so people choose the path of least resistance. Why? Because you are designed to conserve your energy. Right? It's the lizard in your brain that protects you from the saber-toothed tiger outside the cave. Oh my gosh, what if I exert too much energy? I'll be tired, right? And so I think the best thing is, like what we did last week, is I'm changing the way I do challenges, where I'm no longer doing challenges where I just show people how to do it. You're either getting your ass on a team or you're not on the challenge. And every team has to have somebody that's experienced, that's 6 months or a year, that closes the deal, and everybody else just does the most basic thing, which is setting appointments. And I'm like, okay, making it more digestible, making it so they only have to set an appointment. So last week I had 10 people on my team. They set about 40 appointments in 7 days. And out of those 40 appointments, I closed 7 deals. And did you guys meet 3 of the real estate agents that came to the office today? How much money will I make out of those 3 real estate agent relationships in the future? Like, just throw a number out.
I would say
$500,000. You think I'm a bitch? How many millions of dollars would those, like we talked about a nationwide owner finance thing, like all of the things that we talked about. You're looking at $100 million from 1 week worth of work. The difference was, you gave the newbies such digestible things to do. Stop worrying about comping. Stop worrying about this. Stop worrying about that. Literally, here's a list of people that want to sell. Set an appointment for me to talk to them. If that's all a newbie has to do, they'll do it. Only if a closer is backing up the appointment. And so I'm learning more and more that the more information I provide out there, I'd say 5% of people in the real estate industry are ready for it. Most of what my content should be is how to set an appointment. This is my quote I say all the time. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. It truly is that. So what is the magic you're looking for? More money. Okay. What is the work you know you're avoiding? Brent says it all the time. You got to have leads to have a business. If you don't have leads, then circle that. Okay. Well, why don't you have leads? Because I won't pick up the heaviest object on planet Earth, which is
the phone.
Oh my gosh.
Talking to strangers.
Who watched my calls last week? I had 40 calls. Did I have 1 bad call? Every call, even when an agent says, we're a little bit offended by your cash offer, did I not figure out how to make money with that agent by the end of the call? I said, perfect. Since we're already on a call, you're a professional, I'm a professional. Why don't we figure out how to make money together? And we get off the call, and one of those ladies, Denise, who was offended by our cash offer, showed up to the office today going, I'm going to give you all my expired listings. We're going to go build it. And Voight, you're going to go and call those expired listings. I built a whole damn business for you today out of an agent that was offended by my cash offer. So why? I'm not saying, hey, newbies, you need to know how to do that. You need to be on a damn team of people that know how to do that and watch how it's done. I would never try and go frame a house by watching a YouTube video. I want to stand next to a framer, be on a framing team for a couple of weeks and go, I got it. I know all the ins and outs. So, it's what Brent Daniels has done from the very beginning. What'd you call yours? Power Hour?
Super Saturdays.
Super Saturdays.
Super Saturdays. Yeah.
Well, what did you used to do?
I would invite anybody in that wanted to make calls to property owners to just sit there and watch me make calls. And then they would have to participate, right? We'd have pizza and it was a whole thing. It was Saturday mornings and we would just have a great time. And we would always find a deal. Every single Saturday we would find a deal. We would just stay there until we found a deal. And it's just not rocket science. It's just being in a position to where, people are coming in, Pace, and they're very nervous. And then they see what a conversation looks like. And then all of a sudden the mystery went away. And then all of a sudden the thought, what's the worst thing that could happen? Yeah. The worst thing that could happen is somebody is mean to you. Listen, if you're an entrepreneur and you're worried about people being mean to you, get a job.
Get a job.
Seriously, get a job.
I have a new
Get
YouTube
a
video
job
coming out
because
called "How to Get a Job."
You can buffer the world as much as you want. But you're going to get a lot of rejection in this business. You're going to go through a lot of heartache. You're going to go through a lot of growth. And when people saw that on Super Saturdays, they were like, oh, okay, well, I can do this. And then it became fun. And then it became a game. So it's just, how do you frame it in your head, right? How do you frame the next hour, the next 2 hours, the next 3 hours? Are you framing it as, well, I could speak to somebody that's I can earn $10, $15, $20,000 in this block of time? Or is this just, oh, this is going to be the saddest things ever?
Luxla says they're mean at jobs too.
Great. So then why not just be an entrepreneur? Why not pick up the phone if they're going to be mean either way?
I had a girl on my team. She's actually in the side chat. I don't want to say who she is just in case to protect her information, but she was on my team and she said, my boss is the worst. I love my work. I love the people I work with, but my boss is a terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot work for this person anymore. Anything is easier than working for that guy. And I'm like, well, then you're going to be successful, because I had a reason to make more money. I had things breathing down my neck. I had bills. I had expenses. I had a baby coming. I had all sorts of things. I had no other choice but to make it happen. And the good thing, I was smart enough to, at that point in my life, I had learned the value of having a good mentor. Brent was an amazing mentor, still is to me, a mentor and a good friend. Jamil was another really great mentor. Jerry came along a little bit later, like 4 years after my journey started, and he became a mentor of mine as well. And what was interesting is, did you guys hear the story about my flights? Can I tell a story about me flying a plane real quick? Okay. So I had this dream. I want to get my pilot's license. I want to learn how to fly my own plane. And I want to go around. I fly a lot. And I'm like, okay, if I have my own plane, not like a little, turboprop, but like a jet. I want to get a jet. I want to get a Cirrus Vision jet. Okay. It's a $4 million plane and I want to buy it and I want to be able to fly it myself. That's what I want. Cool. So I start taking lessons 3 years ago. I get to a point where I'm about to take the test. Okay. I'm 50 hours in. It's time for me to take a test. I get a call from Dan Fleischman. Dan Fleischman calls me and goes, hey, will you come to California and speak? And I go, hell yeah, this is perfect. I can get 6 hours of flights in before my test. But before you take your test, you have to have a captain with you, right? Somebody on your side. And we're going across from Phoenix to San Diego, and we're going across the Palm Desert area. And you know those mountains that go like straight up? Mm-hmm. The gusts of wind basically take this plane. It was like God himself came out and was like, oh, you think you're going to learn how to fly? All right, let me show you how to. It wasn't 2 minutes of turbulence. You guys have felt turbulence. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh shit, let me put my seatbelt on. Dude, this was 45 minutes. We had to land sideways at the airport. I go, I speak. I'm nervous.
That's terrifying.
Oh, it was so terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
I had to hand the controls over to the captain. Yeah. Like 4 minutes into this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like the yoke is going to snap off. I'm dying. I'm like, can I text my wife and let her know I'm going to die? Like, it was that bad. Okay. We land sideways. I speak on stage. I then go, all right, you ready to go back? And I tell my captain, like, are you ready to go back to Phoenix? And I look at his body language. And he's like, no, let's get some food. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do anything but get back in that plane. And at that moment, I said, I'm done flying. Mm-hmm. Because I was so deathly afraid of watching him, the person that was my mentor, couldn't handle the yoke and couldn't handle the pressure. And so I go, all right, I'm not ever going to fly again. And I put it down and I didn't fly until for 2 years. I'm like, I'm never flying. I'm not doing anything. And 3 months ago, I changed my mind. And here's what changed my mind. We do Day with Pace. You guys are here with Day with Pace. Every week, I invite 15 people from all over the country to spend the day with me in the community. Was today unbelievable? Was it so fun? 11 out of 10? Okay, well, a couple months ago, Rachel chose to take flights into Glacier National Park with all these high peaks and valleys and the wind gusts and everything else. And the turbulence, my friends, was twice as bad as the turbulence I felt on the way to San Diego. Twice as bad. But it actually inspired me to get back in the plane. Why? Because the guy that was flying my plane, the mentor of the plane, the captain of the plane, as turbulence is going on, he's telling a story and laughing as the turbulence is going, and he's having a great time during it. He's making it look fun. And I'm looking at all the people that were with me in this little plane, little six-seater, and I go, oh my gosh, they're scared out of their minds. You want to know why? because they're looking off and they're looking at the wing thinking the wing's going to snap or this is that and the wind gusts and oh my gosh. And I've got my headset on, right? When you're on a plane, you all have your headset and everybody can hear you talk. And I said, everybody, you want to learn how to get over the turbulence? And everybody's like, yes, please, please, tell me. I go, look at the captain. Watch the captain. And the captain goes, that was the best compliment I've ever received. I said, that's how you get over turbulence. You get next to the appropriate captain. And so that guy who was, well, do you remember his name? John. And he was gangster. Okay. He was so good. He was like Brent Daniels was for me, or Jamil Damji was for me. He was the guy I needed. And I needed that person in my seat. And a week ago, Sunday, so a week ago from yesterday, I got back in the plane and flew again.
Nice.
And I chose a different captain. I chose the appropriate mentor. I said, I need the guy that can handle the pressure. Guess what I learned? The guy that I was learning from originally had never flown outside of Arizona. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to learn creative finance or cash offers from an agent who's never done either one. Yeah, you might have been in real estate for 20 years, but you don't know what I want to learn. So what I did is I found a captain who learned how to fly in Montana and now lives in Arizona. And he's like, this Arizona,
It's nothing.
this is nothing. I want me to show you how to take it to the limit. And I'm like, this is the kind of mentor I need to be for other people. It's who Brent has always been for me. And so guys, when you're out there, you're trying to learn how to fly, cash offers, this, that, and the other, choose your mentor appropriately. I took 2 years off of my goal because I found the wrong person to help me. So that is the reason why. It is never how, it is always who. Who is going to teach me the thing? Even right now, like Nathan wants to learn how to underwrite lending deals and I don't have the time. So Jason and Jamie came out from California. You guys are great leaders in the community. And you go, Pace doesn't have the time. We'll show Nathan how to do it. Like that is a community of people. Thank you, by the way. I kicked your ass at tactical training today, but still. So for those of you guys,
That's a great analogy. That is a great story, bro. That might be your top one. That
It's
might
a good
be my
story.
favorite one that you've done.
it's a good story.
That one's
Who's
great.
ever taken a flight lesson before? Okay.
Holy cow.
Are you not the most overwhelmed you've ever been in your life? And this was a good memory for me. You got gauges and fuel pressure and this and that, and you have a checklist. You have a whole damn checklist before you even get in the plane. And it's like, I'm checking the fuel. I'm checking the this. Make sure that the wing hasn't been chipped and the this hasn't happened. The landing gear, you have to make sure the brake is good. You have a whole checklist that you could die if you miss one thing, right? So you're going through this whole thing. Then you get in the plane. He goes, all right, talk to tower.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never talked to tower as you're taxiing a plane with your feet, you control where the plane is going and how fast the plane is going with your damn feet. You got your brakes on your heels. You got the freaking the rudders on your toes, and you're flying this plane that's from 1974. Everybody learns in an old plane that's 50, 60 years old. Okay. Now you got the radio saying, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, blah, 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 take 4 right, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, what the hell just happened? And you're up in the air. They force you through being overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And so I go, this is like jumping into real estate for the first time. Setting an appointment is like talking to tower. Understanding how to comp is reading the charts and the this and looking at the horizon. And oh my gosh, it takes so much. But when you go through it, and all of a sudden it becomes muscle memory and you own the ability. And now I go on YouTube and I watch these 18-year-old kids flying jets. And I'm like, that inspires me as a 41-year-old man that I can learn anything at any time. You just have to know what you want. And so get out there. By the way, if you guys have never taken a flight, go take an exploration flight. Okay. Take an exploration flight. Usually they're free. You can go out there, type in your city in exploration flight, and flight schools will take you up in a plane for free to see if you're a good fit for it. Sit there and go, I am so overwhelmed. That's how I felt when I first jumped into real estate. And then look at how comfortable they are. That's how I am today. That's how Brent is today. Mm-hmm. And there is a recipe, and you have to get overwhelmed, and you have to get uncomfortable, and you have to do the hard things. But more importantly, choose the appropriate captain.
Well, yeah, go through. They have to be through it, right? They have to be flying in Montana to understand how easy it is to fly in Arizona.
Yes.
Oh,
and
I love that.
Somebody called me the other day, go, hey, I'm thinking about joining a mentorship. I'm like, cool. What does the person do? They go, they do land wholesaling in Alabama. I go, cool. Do they have like a nationwide group? They go, no, I watch their course and then I can do deals with them in Alabama. I go, where do you live? We live in California. Great. Do you want to do deals in Alabama? No, I don't want to do it. I'm like, why are we even having this conversation? Like, how is this even remote? Well, because they were inexpensive and they were this, that, and the, oh my gosh, this is like the guy I hired to teach me how to fly that never flown out of Arizona. And by the way, didn't tell me, oh, hey, just so you know, I've never gone over a mountaintop that's over 6,000 feet. The fact that he had to land sideways, and now I know he'd never done that before, holy shiz. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Navy pilot here that landed on aircraft carriers. Appropriate mentors are key.
Boom.
RCB turbine 9. Awesome. Freaking love it. And Jared Frankham. Look at Jared Frankham. Like Jared Frankham starts out in TTP, becomes a star, like an absolute star, has bounced around the globe. He's currently living in Brazil, married to a Brazilian woman, and is now he's like, all right, I can just start my business from scratch right now, and knows how to do that because he had the appropriate mentor.
Yeah. Freaking
talk to people, get married, bro. That's what happens.
Talk to Brazilian ladies, I guess.
Talk to Brazilian ladies. Amazing stuff. What time do we got?
That's it.
Oh my gosh, we're 6 minutes late, guys. I'm so sorry I told too long of stories.
We love you guys. Thank you for joining Wholesale Hotline number 238. We'll see you next week. Love you guys.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool.